Philistine hurrah. I'm going to be wearing this scarf as much as I can. And you just know what it means. I've been very angry. And I've been holding it in my body for a really long time. For those of you who don't know me, I've been bedridden in hospice for the last 8 months, so that's why I'm laying down. This is a time of massive uprising of feelings, thought forms, ideas that have been embedded into the cellular nature of our bodies over the generations, inside of our need to be politically correct, inside of our desire to be at peace and feel at peace without being in conflict. This is a massive uprising of emotions like rage, outrage, anger, embarrassment, shame, guilt, feelings of being unreasonable. Think about that. Think about how many feelings fall into the category in your brain that equal unreasonable. That basically sums up all the feelings that might possibly be trapped in your cells. It's come up to me because I connect with my guides. I also connect with my human guides that are psychic like me. That the greatest pain in my physical body, for those of you who don't know, I have been managing pain from breast/bone cancer, is from the embedded, limited belief that women are not allowed to be angry, that women should be seen and not heard, that women should be obedient and subservient to their master, who happens to be male, that women are not safe and cannot be even clothed, housed, and fed unless they are agreeable, unless they are reasonable, and unless they say yes to sexual approaching and are sexually and physically approachable, which is, quote unquote, the sign of a nice girl. All of these limiting beliefs are uprising, not just in the feminine, but in the masculine, in the feminine aspect of the divine masculine. And I'm going to share something with you that is something that I did this last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, there was a deputy at my house. And I asked the deputy to come over to report a crime, a series of crimes that happened 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. The reality is the statute of limitations has passed. So why was I guided to report these a series of crimes? Because I was scared. because I still held not just the trauma in my body, but the fear of retaliation in my body. Some of you are already resonating with what I'm saying. Some people are so have suffered so much trauma in their childhood or in their ancestry that they are like a Dr. and Jekyll Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They can front and mask as the most beautiful individual. They can make you feel like $1 million. They can even do the most amazing things for you, your family. And then behind the scenes, or maybe even more poignantly and more surface level, they are abusive. 10 years ago, I was in a relationship with a man that I felt like I had prayed for him for so long. And I felt that I was safe with him because he was the most protective man, actually, that I had ever met. Note that he was the most protective feeling man that I had ever met. And what felt like protection to me at the time translated into someone that was possessive. Because, of course, if you're possessive, there's an aspect of possession that feels safe. A man will walk on the dangerous side of the street for you. A man will sit on the dangerous side of the table in the restaurant for you, or even sleep at the dangerous side of the bed for you. This particular man was waiting for me because I told him that I thought our relationship was so special that I wanted to wait to get into an intimate space with him. He said he would do anything that felt right for me. And I waited 3 months into our relationship. We had already said we loved each other. We were already very much in a cycle of obsessive romance. The second time we ever were physically intimate, we were at a friend of mine's house. My friend's house. It was an hour and a half out of town in Los Angeles. And we agreed that since we would be drinking, we would stay the night at his house, my friend's house, with my friend's girlfriend. We stayed the night, and without getting into the details, because there are sickos online that are just sickos. I said no, and I had multiple reasons to say no. Number one, he didn't have a condom with him. Number two, we were in my friend's house. Number three, he had drank beyond his capacity, and I wasn't attracted to him. And number three, we were sharing a paper-thin wall with my friends. And number four, I wasn't impressed with his lovemaking skills. It was only the second time we were going to have intercourse, and there was zero part of me that was excited about it. He was terrible in bed, and I hadn't realized that until a few days earlier. What came after that was very, very violent, and involved me falling off the bed. And there was a moment in time, I'm sharing this for mostly for the women that have been raped inside of the context of relationship and haven't given themselves the grace to call it rape. After it was physically obvious that I couldn't physically fight him off, I felt a part of me leave my body. Because I knew at that point, and this is not something I processed, in my conscious mind. This was all like multi-second subconscious processing. This is only something I processed after, 10 years after. I felt that if I yelled, then what would ensue after that? If I screamed, I knew that was the only option I had, was to scream bloody murder. I couldn't scream a little bit because I knew that my partner at the time would have covered my mouth. I would have had to scream bloody murder. And I knew that there was no going back from that. And I was scared that what if I was wrong? What if this wasn't rape? What if I made the wrong choice? I felt so confused and lost. And I didn't choose not to scream. The fight or flight in my system and my nervous system couldn't scream. And these are all things I've processed in the last year because I couldn't process any of this while I was in the relationship or the 9 years after. After that, every single night in this relationship, I was raped by the same man. And you say, well, why did you stay in the relationship? And the deputy asked me as much. Because I didn't know what else to do. Because I felt like I had invested so much energy into this lie. And that if I broke off this relationship, then the rapes and the series of rapes had to be real. And it's just the small percentage of it. From that day on, every single night, I said no. I said no to him every single night, verbally. He was the best boyfriend in the world outside of the bedroom. And inside of the bedroom, he turned into a violent monster. I just watched a reel on Instagram. It was in a college classroom, a lecture hall. There was about 300 people in this lecture hall. The professor asked the group, how many people in this room directly, first person, know of someone who has been sexually abused or assaulted? 99% of the room stood up. Then the professor asked, how many people in this room can say that the person they know that was sexually assaulted reported the crime? Remain standing. 95% of that 99% sat down. There is a real fear of retaliation that lives inside us, because there are people walking this planet that don't have the same base level ethics and morals than we do, and it's terrifying that you can't reason with them. It's terrifying that you can't look at this person in the eye and think, oh, I know they wouldn't do that, and really know it, because they've done something that you wouldn't think in a million years they would do. I want to encourage each of you to take a look at who in your life you have not held accountable, because this is the time for all of us to hold each other accountable. This is why we have so many public voices saying such racist things, spaces of mass bigotry, mass genocide, spaces of mass gaslighting, misogyny. And these voices are becoming louder and louder, so that we and they might have a chance to be called out and to call out, to be called out and to call out. It's terrifying when you call somebody out, because then they have a chance to call you out. They have a chance to gaslight you one more time. They have a chance to dive into their own victim mentality, to make excuses, or to turn the camera to themselves and put you in a perpetrator position when you were really the victim. It's terrifying because you just wanted to move forward in your life, living a peaceful life, and not having to deal, actually, with that person's energy again. Why would you want to be in a courtroom with a person that hurt you so badly? Why would you want to even see their face, let alone connect with their energy? It's terrifying because you might think they could hurt your family, your friends. All of that is real, a real threat. And it's all things, they are all things that I have processed when I decided to report these crimes 10 years after the fact. I had to have a local deputy come here into my room, and that deputy is sending all the information, including the contact details of my ex-boyfriend, down to Los Angeles Police Department. He won't get charged, but it will be on his record. And there's a reason why I'm doing this. Number one, to expound the anger and the trauma from my body. Because it's not my job to hold on to it, to protect him. Number two, to give validation to any past, present, or future girlfriends of his, or God forbid, his daughters, if there was any inclination that they might have experienced the same. And it's terrifying. There's another situation in my life that I will speak on a different live video. that I am needing to hold somebody accountable for. So again, who are you needing to hold accountable in your life? And what is the next step? Is it a conversation about boundaries? Is it a conversation about needing to be respected, needing to feel honored? Is it a conversation that could potentially ruin your business? Give you bad publicity? But what will it do for your soul to release that information and the pressure of holding it all in as a secret in your body? What is the release? What is the feeling of freedom? I suppose people can tell me that it was the nature of my business, being in the music business, being on stage, dancing around half naked, people might say, that I've been targeted. But those are only the times where I was targeted publicly, in a public space, for instance, groped at the club. The real perpetrators in my life were people that were either supposed to be professional or that I knew. My chiropractor in China, my music manager in Los Angeles, a nail salon technician on Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles. While I was in the nail salon, and yes, we were in there alone. These are all people you're supposed to count on. And unfortunately, if your nervous system works like mine, it freezes or fawns. And that's just something I had to make amends with too. The first thing, if that's you, even if it's been 20 years, is to make amends with yourself and to release the language that I let that happen to me. Release the language of it was my fault because I let that happen. Or it was my fault because I provoked it. Release that language. Then you could start to think about and process holding someone accountable, and it doesn't all have to happen today. But I invite you to start the process today. It took me more than 10 years. But I'm setting myself free. And I want you to be free too. I pray that the Creator of all that is give you the courage, the protection, the power, the voice, and just enough anger to do it. I love you so much.